then people are like, why are you complaining about foreign aid? We're here helping you build your roads. We're building your hospitals, all of that stuff. I'm like, okay, lady. So for your foreign aid, I get a few roads. But not even the best roads, because guess what? A road that was supposed to mobilize, I'm just making up a number, $5 million to make a road if you want to do it right. It costs $5 million, but I know you only put $2 million in it because you stifled the other $3 million. The other $3 million went half in the pocket of a corrupt leader that you're dealing with, and the other half went straight back to you with all of your agencies that are serving also the foreign aid world. So we get $2 million if we're lucky. The rest is separated between the leader of this country, corrupt leader of this country, this foreign nation, and the other comes straight back to Tokyo, comes straight back to Paris, comes straight back to Washington, D.C., and so on and so forth.
So actually, it's not really trickling down where it needs to be. It's just getting all siphoned off and
exactly.
Squandered.
For the crappy road, I get what? I get a leader that's never going to want to leave.
Right.
Because he or she wants to stay to keep taking that money. Because remember we said $5 million road, $3 million is not accounted for. Mm-hmm. Some of that is in the pocket of that guy or that woman, oftentimes guys. And they're going to use that money to go buy chateaux in the south of France. They're going to have Swiss bank accounts. They're going to have all types of goodies like that. So, but because of that, because they want access and control of that foreign aid, they're going to fight.
That's the thing. It's if you've already got corruption, then foreign aid will actually entrench that corruption further because there's just more and more power going to the people who are willing to do that.
So that's one thing. People who never leave, so the violence that provokes. Then you also have a culture of dependency. Entire generations of Africans who learn that we're given stuff. For whom at some point, it's what's normal is not to work. What's normal is to be given. What do you mean work? What do you mean? You can't have an entrepreneurial, like society with a mindset like that. So you're robbing, you're really...
Robbing agency.
Yes, and that's big. That one is big. It's
right,
big.
That continues then down generations. It becomes a mindset.
Exactly.
It's very cancerous. Yeah.
Exactly. And least but not least, because when you're doing all of this foreign aid and all of that, it's in a way covering the real problems. When you're doing all of this, no one is talking about the business climate. And then some people will say, oh, no, what are you talking about? During the Washington Consensus, the World Bank and others told the African nations that they're going to have to clean up, their business environment a little bit. So, because otherwise we're not going to give money. And you know what many of them did? They cut healthcare and they cut education. They didn't cut their having one more mention. They didn't cut having 20 million
How much is spent
girlfriends.
on bureaucracy in general?
Nothing. Yeah. They cut where they thought it would be the easiest to cut, which is the most ridiculous thing because
that's where actually the money's needed.
Health and education are always going to be the last thing that I personally, and even as a bleeding heart libertarian, maybe because I'm a bleeding heart libertarian, that's the one thing where I argue with so many, libertarians, because I'm like, giving money to education and to health, I will never have a problem with that. Never. I argue that there are ways it can be done better. I want to help with the education of children, even if they're not mine. I want to make sure that a man or a woman or a child is upright, not on the bed. I want that. And if the only way to do it would be to donate, fine, let's donate. But I just want to make sure it's effectively going to go to them and do what it's supposed to do, educate them and or give them health. So because foreign aid covers all the problems, we're still not addressing the issue. And as long as the issue is not addressed, Africans stay poor. And guess what? Africans stay poor, Liv, what does it mean? It means racism. My friend Remy Adekoya, he's in England. He wrote this book that I think everybody should read. It's called It's not about whiteness. It's about wealth. I believe that 80% of racism is due to the fact that Africa, being home to 90% of a representative of a black race, skin color, happens also to be the poorest in the world, and that blackness has come to be linked to less than. Exactly. Right. The day we correct that, the day we become prosperous, I like to argue 80% of it is going to disappear. 80%. This is not to take lightly. And so for me, that's a worse one. in addition to just people living in poverty, which is the most indignified thing in the world. And the fourth one is neocolonialism. He who makes the gold makes the rules.
There's this feeling of indebtedness that it keeps perpetuating that cycle.
Yeah, and because you give me the money, so that's how the French, that's how the Americans, all of these people get to actually decide even who we elect. Make no mistake, many Africans and their allies think, I'm African, but I'm not the type of African who thinks that way. So many Africans think that Africa is poor because of neocolonization. They'll say, okay, colonization is done, but we're still colonized, we're neo-colonized, meaning like everybody's meddling with our affairs and everything, and or buying our resources on the cheap. Like basically, we're still neo-colonized. And I say, make no mistake, we are neo-colonized because we are poor. We're not poor because we're neo-colonized. Very different. They don't think about it. And as long as we remain poor, the rest of the world will help themselves.